News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Alan Gilbreth with AlanSpices.com.
And I'm Maximilian, and guess what? Happy birthday to the late, great Alan Rickman.
Oh, what a legend. Now, that actor is somebody everybody likes, so, yep.
And then not only that, but it's also World Pangolin Day.
I don't know what that is, so.
Explain.
I do. I'm excited because it is not a pet. You should not buy one. Leave them where they are. I know they look like little medieval knights.
Or Pokemon.
It is basically a Pokemon. It really is.
Really?
Pangolins are basically armor-clad nightmare fuel armadillos.
Oh,
it's just basically a thing you could call them.
Okay. Don't you get like, what do you get? Salmonella from touching armadillos, right?
Well, that's turtles.
Oh, okay. All right.
Armadillos carry leprosy, Joe.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. What else, Max?
That's it.
Okay. All right. Alan Rickman Day.
It's not Christmas till you throw Alan Rickman off the Nakatomi Tower. So.
Okay. Yeah, I would love if anybody's got any fond Alan Rickman reminiscences. Of course, his greatest role ever was in Galaxy Quest. I don't know though. No, I guess it's debatable. He was fun in that movie though. Galaxy Quest is one of those few movies that are almost a perfect movie, you could say.
You know, I'm really having trouble arguing with you on that one because that movie is probably the kindest send-up of an entire genre that anyone has ever done.
Yeah, it's the best Star Trek movie ever made.
Yep.
So, yeah. But anybody that's seen it loves that movie. And if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's a feel-good, fun movie, man.
You know, we all miss Professor Snape.
Well, speaking of feel-good and fun, I'm assuming shortly Alan's going to give us a just sort of a report of what happened last week at the home show because we don't do a ton of we only do 2 or 3 remotes a year. This one was sort of exceptional though, wasn't it? So,
the home show last week was absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to tell you about everything around us today at the boat show.
Okay, there we go. So
we are having a big month.
Alan's got the full report. Okay, now we do need to get to this. Last week we're calling this great moment. Yeah, I guess this counts as great moments in building history. There is an interesting theory. It's fairly new about how the pyramids were built, and I'm becoming persuaded by this one. You know, we've heard all the aliens, we've heard water elevators, we've heard all the theory. This one I like, and even if it isn't the theory, it's worth talking about because it connects directly to home improvement. I think so.
I even know what theory you're talking
about.
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting. So, we're calling this a cosmic homeowner segment that came right home to me because it involves electricity. And as we know, electricity, they call it the theory of electricity because it doesn't always do what we think it's going to do.
It does what it wants to do.
Right.
Yeah.
I have, for lack of a better name, tool tail because I use my pry bar and a hammer, so I'm calling it a tool tail. But I had a pretty miserable week, Alan. I'm not going to lie. I'm glad I finished the part of this job that I finished. But yeah, whew. And Alan's week in review. It sounds like you had a lake vacation. Is that?
Well, it was by a lake. We'll put it that way.
Okay, and if we have time, I have a suggested viewing, and you've viewed this program, and I think Max has seen a couple episodes, so it might be worth checking out. So, and of course, we would love to hear from you, especially if you've bought a pangolin.
No,
if you're celebrating World Pangolin Day or Alan Rickman's birthday, everybody can celebrate him. What a cool actor! Get in touch with us. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989. But before we get to any of those intriguing topics, let's get to our must-have item of the week, which, by the way, Ditch, if you're listening, I'm carefully keeping this away from all of our electronic equipment. So, and Max, this was actually something you used, so that's why it's brought in today. So what do we got here, man?
You have a telescoping magnet.
Yeah.
They are, that is the tool that lays in the toolbox for about 4 years until you need it.
Yeah.
But when you need it, you really need a telescoping magnet.
Yeah, why did you need it, Max?
Well, when I was working on my car with regards to, this is also a mini tool tale in and of itself. I was having trouble with my car. Turns out I had corroded terminals. And so working on the corroded terminals, like I put like my ratchet. I got these new little, I love these where they have like, it's like a fixed wrench with like a ratchet socket end at the bottom of it. I love those.
Oh, those are, I love those too.
Yep,
Those
socket wrenches.
Yeah, so I was working on that, and then I accidentally dropped both of them. I got one out without needing the magnet, but I'm very determined to try to get the other one out, even though it's obstructed in an area. But the thing is that it seems like I'd be causing problems for myself, but it's actually a lot easier, simpler than you think. It's just more so removing bolts.
Okay, so Alan, he showed me where it fell. You know how you have two radiators? You have the back and the front. It fell in between those.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Max, I knew where it fell just from where he was talking about.
So, Max, you're going to be jiggling water lines and other, I don't know, other sensitive things for a $12 wrench. Is it worth the? Are you going to do this?
It's a growth experiment.
Yeah,
he's going to be so much more experienced mechanic at the end of this.
It's like that episode of The Office where Jim jammed Dwight's desk just enough to where he couldn't get the pens out. That's what it feels like for me when I can see what I want. I could always just get like a coat hanger and try to like claw machine it out.
Yes, that is actually going to be my first suggestion, is that you actually do the coat hanger experiment, because it's patient. You can put just enough of a bend on the end of it with a pair of pliers and just fish that baby down there. And there is nothing, and this is coming from many decades of experience, there is nothing more satisfying than Carney Land fishing something out of the impossible spot.
Oh,
you are
Finally, we get to debate something, because, Max, I think what Alan just suggested is a terrible idea. And here's the reason why. Alan, you're leaving one crucial factor out of this. This is right in between two radiators.
Yeah, I didn't say
with little bendable, flexible fins. And if you start bending those, you made the radiator useless. I bet Larry Brown, I bet any of our friends that are in AC would be screaming at their radio like, don't mess with the fin, because if you're sliding that, if you're sliding down the stiff pointed
the fins,
hanger, those fins could get bent.
Those fins on your car are a lot sturdier than the ones on the AC.
I wouldn't do it, Max. I would not. I wouldn't, because you're talking messing up your radio. That's the thing. This is what I'm talking about. The psychology of I wouldn't even think twice about it. I'm like, well, that's stuck forever. I don't care. That's $12 down the drain. But Max, you can't let it go, can you?
Well, I think it's sort of like I said, it's like, I think it's also a mindset thing. It's like, it says more about myself to not want to give up and everything.
Yeah, you may do more damage getting it out.
Like I said, it's going to be a learning experience. He's going to be a much more mature auto mechanic at the end of this.
And Alan's sort of the instigator. He's the Conrad Dobler of this situation. He's just trying to get
I'm like the Shaggy song.
Yeah,
wasn't me.
I would not do that, man. Max, you know what's going to happen? This is exactly what's going to happen. In 6 months, you're going to pull out of the driveway, and it's going to be laying there because it's going to have vibrated just to the right position, and you back out and stop or something, and it flies out. But I would love to know.
Max is going to go fishing.
I would love to know if our listeners ever, where they would land. Would you remove the wrench or let it go? Because to me, I think that says something about your personality. It's not going to hurt anything. It is not going to get jammed into it's not going to fly into the, belts or anything like that. It's just going to sit there quietly, bothering nobody. But I don't know.
But he'll know it's there.
Yeah. But watch those fins. We know, we don't play games with that.
I didn't say get in there and go crazy on it, but, very gentle. It's like the little claw game. You got to get it down in there just right. Hook that little loop in there and ease that baby back up. And if he pulls it off, he'll be insufferably smug with himself for weeks.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, insufferably smug, one of my dad's happiest memories of me, like he says he's never seen me any happier than when I was at the Schnucks with a claw machine, gave me $1, and I pulled out a puppy.
Wow.
Well,
a stuffed one.
A stuffed one, yeah.
Okay. So did you get that in the first shot? That's pretty good. Really?
was
Because
like,
those claw machines, you never.
I got faith in him. He's going to get that wrench out.
See, that's a core memory that Max has. He remembers that, and you're trying to relive your childhood by getting this wrench. All right, just go for it, Max. I don't care. But if you do that, you kind of almost have to fish it out. You can't just take everything apart.
No, he's got to get that coat hanger and ease that baby down there.
And I got my tactical flashlight, which has a high level of lumens that I could use to spot me.
Okay. All right. Well, knock yourself out. Just don't damage the fins and don't poke a hole in the water lines or
And
any of those other
there are
things.
infinite number of dads out there listening to us right now, chuckling to themselves.
Yeah, the claw machines are one of the most addictive things. You know, we weren't into the kids weren't really into video games too much or anything. But if we went to like a Redbirds game and they had that claw machine, we were dropping $80 on claw machines.
And it was a bet among friends. Because, I'm going to get that, that whatever it was that was stuffed in the corner that was never going to come out.
Yeah, claw machine design is something special. So, all right, well, good stuff, Max. But when we come back, I don't know if this is in the same thing. We're gonna talk. We have a cosmic homeowner involving the mysteries of electricity.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
You know, installing your own barbecue pit is no harder than adding an
Cosmic
aviary
homeowner,
or Olympic-sized swimming pool.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Some new rejoiners. Okay, thanks, Max. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody.
Is he right about the barbecue pits?
On occasion, yes.
Yeah. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. Today is Alan Rickman's birthday. Love that man. Great actor. Classy guy who didn't take himself too serious, even though he had every right to, because Alan, that guy was a serious actor.
Oh,
I mean,
it didn't matter what your role was, how big, how small, he delivered.
yeah. So if you've got any fond memories, we love that guy. He really is a class act. And then today's also World Pangolin Day. I don't know how you celebrate, though, because Alan's telling us they make terrible pets and they can give you diseases. So.
Leave them there.
Okay. So, but anyway, maybe they're your cup of tea. Maybe you just like to go and
they're very
appreciate
cool
pangolins.
looking.
So, okay. In any case, whatever your feelings are, you can call or text us at 901-683-0989. In a minute, we have a cosmic homeowner to get to. But, Alan, I feel like I would like a report because, honestly, I wasn't at the home show much. I had to I had to run out early. I was there for a bit, and there was a certain energy that I don't remember in past years, man. There was something cool going on.
I got to tell you, there was a vibe.
Okay.
All right. Was it packed? No. Was it what you would call a good slow burn? Yes. There was just a good number of people, a consistent number. And if you're in a booth, there's a certain amount of ambient background noise that kind of tells you how busy it is and what's going on. And it was
the enthusiasm.
Yeah. This is one of these where it's kind of like the Goldilocks thing. It wasn't too much. It wasn't too little. We were kind of in the just right department.
Yeah.
So for anybody that came out and said hello, and I mean there were a lot of people that came out and said hello.
That's what was interesting. You said a lot of listeners showed up.
Brandon Olmsted from Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max, our sister station, was there in the booth with me most of the time. And we had a ton of folks come over and chat us up and talk about the show and what was going on and how much they enjoyed what we do on Saturday and Sunday mornings. So to anybody that came out and met us, I'd like to say thank you so much. And if you missed the home show this year, honestly, really kind of save the date for next year because
they're good events, man. They're practical, too.
If you want to steal ideas, if you want to take some pictures or stuff, or even better yet, I think this year's theme, I'm not going to say was aging in place, but I'm going to say it was lifestyle changes in place.
Yeah,
kind of making this your forever home.
Right.
But like every 5 to 7 years as the kids grow up and things change, it's time to do different things around the home. And the home show this year was really, really on point for that.
Yeah.
So, if you need to change out that lighting from, spotlights to keep the kids visible to something more cozy now that they've moved out, there was somebody there. There was,
Yeah.
did you need to change your hot water? There was somebody there. Were you worried about your roof, your landscaping, trees? There were a lot of trees.
I have a tree tale here coming up, actually. I don't think I prepared you for that.
And
but anyway.
I'm going to just turn around and say, all right now this week, you and I will be at the Sport and Boat Show, along with Mr. Olmsted will be there as well. We are sadly positioned right next to the food court.
Oh, so the temptation will be there.
Oh, my gosh. Oh,
okay.
If I eat any more cheesy fries. But no, all I got to say for the boat show is spectacular. And it's not just boats. There's a good mix of vendors there, and it is an amazing walkthrough. You had no idea there was this much technology devoted to ATVs, boats, leisure. That's the big word this weekend. So
leisure.
Last weekend, leisure at home.
Yeah.
This weekend, leisure overall.
And of course,
a lot of fun.
I'm sure you'll have all the spices there as well. So,
my gosh, we had the most fun with that yesterday afternoon. Family after family. It was wonderful.
Cool. All right. Well, there you go. That and it's always nice to meet listeners because, like I said, we don't do as many of the. We do 2 or 3 every year. So this one was a good one. So all right. Well, let's shift gears, you guys.
And now, the Cosmic Homeowner on Tool Talk Radio.
I guess we're calling this electricity's cosmic. It's in the atmosphere. It's everywhere. It's mysterious. It's been with us.
I've seen Frankenstein.
Yeah, we see what it does to a tree if it hits it, So,
or the occasional unfortunate squirrel.
Right, exactly. So, so here's the deal. So I woke up the other morning, and it's like, turn the light on, and it does this little flickering, kind of like, whatever. It's like, oh, I wonder if I got to change the bulb or something. Because some of the new light bulbs, I have to say, they don't just die. It's not like they go and they die. They sort of, it's a slow death.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe, you know what I mean?
Like
the
those rapid blink on a headlight, like on a car and everything. It's like beep, 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 beep for the turn signal.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like that, Max. And it's like, but a lot, some of those, so that's what I thought it was. Mm-hmm. Then I go in the bathroom to brush my teeth, and it's doing the same thing in there. And talk to, in the kitchen. It's like, okay, all the lights are doing this. It's really irritating, and it's kind of like torture too. But, and then my wife calls later. She said, do you know why these lights, because it's like, I thought, okay, well, maybe somebody down the street is working on something. Maybe there's okay, whatever. Then it turned into this big thing. Do we call MLGW? Do we do whatever? And then she looked in the closet, because in our closet is where the circuit, the box of the circuit breaker box, I guess, whatever you call that, fuse box. The door was slightly open. She shut the door. It's a metal door. She shut the door, and all the flickering stopped. The rest of the day, and it hasn't come back since. So, Alan, what the heck is going on? Why would the door being propped open on the fuse box? For one thing, you should keep it shut because that's a safety thing. I don't know how it accidentally got propped open, but that made no sense to me. And of course, I'm not an electrician, so that's why it made no sense. But
to quote one of my famous lines on Travel Channel, if you thought your house was haunted, you need an electrician, not an exorcist.
There you go.
So,
bingo. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the breaker box for a minute. So,
okay.
If you take the face off the breaker box and you're not an electrician and you're not familiar with electricity, you will see the most intimidating array of things you have ever seen in your life.
Oh, yeah. It's like ripping open a human body.
It is
it's like
just connections and things that, if you're not in the business.
Big wires,
little wires. Okay. The problem is the weight of your breaker box was probably not properly screwed down.
Whoever
put it in, because
we had electrical work done about 5 months ago when we got our new HVAC system in.
In that case, somebody pulled open your breaker box and probably pulled the face off of it.
Yeah, sure they did.
you probably need to tighten the face back down, because what's happening is the box is leading when the door's open, and I get to look at Max because I'm going to tie this directly into your car battery. You have a connection where the main wires are coming in from the weatherhead.
Right.
They come in, they come down in there, and they are bolted in place. All right. When your door was leaning, you were not getting a clean connection.
That
So you're
little
getting-
difference.
So you were getting the SOS of please close my door. Please close my door. This is basically how I'm going to interpret the blinking in your house. So I would definitely say something about your box is a little bit loose.
So, okay.
And I'm sure
tightening
there are plenty
is
of
easy. There's four
screws right there. Just make sure they're good and tight. And I'm sure a actual licensed electrician will be giving the same advice or contacting you later to go, hey, by the way, inside of there, they may not have tightened something on one of those connections properly either.
Well, you know what? Now you're making me wonder, Alan, because I replaced a circuit breaker. In fact, I talked about it here on the show about 6 months ago. But I'm pretty sure I tightened it all the way, but I don't know.
Well, again, you know, it doesn't really matter how or what or when or where. The simple fact is that you were getting an SOS from your electrical system going, something in here is not tightened down properly.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting stuff, but I thought it had something to do with electromagnetic fields that were not closed or whatever.
No,
I wanted more of a,
No, it's going to be the box, Joe.
Okay.
It's going to be
All
the
right.
box.
So tightening a few screws. Well, that wasn't very cosmic, I guess, but whatever.
Yeah,
So-
but the results will keep it from being cosmic.
Okay. Well, when we come back, we're going to find out in Alan's Week in Review all about his lakeside vacation.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
We have radon coming from below. We have asbestos in the ceilings. These are silent killers.
You are the silent killer.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989, especially if you're going to be celebrating World Pangolin Day or Alan Rickman's birthday. I don't know what birthday it is. I wonder if it's the 70-something, whatever. But he's, whatever. Good, great actor. And once again, the minute the microphones went off, Alan told me the most important thing about my my mysterious electrical problem at the house, which I'm like, okay, I think the listeners need to hear this out. Okay. It's not just, so if you just tuned in, I mean, we had these flickering lights at our house. It turned out the door was propped open slightly on our circuit breaker. My wife shut it and the flickering went away. Well, it's annoying, but it's also a safety issue, right, Alan?
Exactly.
So-
If you have something intermittent
ahead.
like that,
And it's also a bait for the text line. It's causing debate
Oh, good.
about
Oh, okay.
possible problems.
Now, okay, let's hear the text and let's see.
Yeah.
But don't put a pin in that, Alan, because I want people to know about the safety issue. But all right,
Someone was first suggesting Alex eventually got to you thinking that it was a loose box, but he also said it might have been either a kill switch, a.k.a. the idiot switch.
Wait. What do you mean a kill switch? Is there a whole... is there something bigger than the circuits that can kill the thing? Or
the
What does that
problem
mean?
there is going to be the age of your house.
yeah, because ours is built in
More modern,
1952.
yeah, more
so-
modern stuff has a safety switch that can shut down the system.
When you say switch, though, I've seen the ones where you yank the whole thing out and it just pulls out and everything dies. Is that? I wonder what I don't. Or
Well,
is the
there's
kill
different
switch? I mean,
kinds.
we have one switch that if you hit that, the whole house goes out. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, in this case, I think I'm still going to lean towards the loose box.
Okay, but Alex recognizes the danger, right, Max? So
I guess so, but we also got another text from Danny, said don't think you're on the right path. He doesn't
Okay.
think that it's the box.
All right, what
he
does
said
Danny
probably
think?
a defective connection with the breaker at the bus bar. Some manufacturers of electrical panels used a softer alloy for their bus bars that caused failures at the circuit breaker.
Well, that's exactly what my wife told me. No, I'm just kidding. A softer metal. Wait, okay, Alan, we better break this. What is a bus bar? So,
Okay, well,
and
would
one
you-
other factor, as you know, over the years, if you've listened to Tool Talk, at least 3 times tree limbs have fallen and yanked, violently yanked the wires out of the weatherhead at my house.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if
easily.
that is part of this factor.
Well,
too,
again,
but-
back to a
okay.
connection. Now, what he's talking about when you look at a circuit breaker, a modern circuit breaker,
Okay.
not a fuse, not that thing you screwed into the
Right.
hole that people used to cheat and put pennies in. Don't do that. by
Oh,
the
yeah,
way.
that's
do
really
not
dumb.
do that. I don't
Yeah.
care what you saw in the horror movie. Don't do that. Well, there was a movie that
Oh, yeah, there's horror
guys
movies,
doing
all right,
putting
yeah.
the thing and putting. I'm
Yeah.
like, don't show people how to do that.
Okay.
Of the way a circuit breaker is made is that it now has a metal backing. When you replace the circuit breaker, you put one in.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, how old is the box?
Yeah. I mean, if it's the original, we're talking 70 years old.
Because the materials have changed over the years, and sometimes they don't match up perfectly.
Okay. I think the door looks newer to me. Honestly, it looks cleaner.
Well, it's just the simple fact is the tightness of the door being closed solved the problem.
Okay.
So something being loose is definitely the issue. So when the door was now closed, it could be pushing on the face of your breakers enough that it's pushing something in nice and snug. But since this was happening in more than one place around the house on more than just one circuit,
Yeah.
it kind of brings that up.
Wait, what did Danny say? We were on the wrong track. He's saying the connection goes further in. Is
Yeah,
that what
well,
saying?
he's talking about the circuit, possibly the circuit breaker you replaced could actually not be making as firm or as good a contact as it could, either because of material changes over the last 70 years, or maybe you didn't get it tightened down enough.
Oh, now, in fairness, the one I bought was used because they don't make, I guess, I have the older box, and this is a special dealer. I had to go to Arlington to get it, and it wasn't a brand new one. Whatever. It looked like it was repurposed or something, so
I have been.
it might have been. So, okay, maybe that's it. But could that cause flickering in the whole house?
Well, again, it's the theory of electricity. If you're getting an SOS from one of them, it could be resonating throughout the, as he calls the bus bar, where you're plugging those things in.
Yeah, all of this reminds me of why I chose to work with wood instead
Yep.
of electricity and water. 'Cause
Well, and
forget it, man. Wood doesn't behave this way.
No, wood kind of follows the rules.
Yeah.
Electricity kind of does what it wants. The danger here, of course, if you have anything flickering like that, you could be looking at something not making good contact, and then you get into arcing.
Yeah. Well, the arcing was what.
And arcing
you
is
and I talked
basically welding.
Right.
Just basically, if you think about it,
Arcing is shooting is electrical current shooting across,
it's bridging that tiny little gap, so it's the old static electricity thing.
Yeah.
It's a dark room, you're wearing socks, you reach for the doorknob and you see the little flash of light when your finger, that's an arc.
Yeah.
Now, if you throw 120 volts at it, you're now basically arc welding.
And you said that's actually hotter than the sun.
Yeah, well,
That's
you
why
look
it
at the
just
tip of
melts.
an arc welder. Yeah, it's like basically the temperature, maybe a little hotter than the sun.
Right.
So that's
you
why
don't want that in
welders-
your closet.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's why welders wear those amazing welding hats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The goggles. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we covered that. If you've got more thoughts about it, feel free to weigh in. But
Yeah, that's why my overarching advice is,
yeah.
you might want to put a little bit of a crowbar in your wallet and have an electrician
Just give it
give
a
a
once over.
Give
so.
it a health check.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds good, but let's move it along, fellas. Okay.
Oh, the humanity.
Well, you spent some time on the lake this week. It sounds relaxing and enjoyable. Huh? I don't know what lake you were at.
A private lake on
Okay.
in a commercial facility.
Is it Friday the 13th lake?
No, not quite. But I did see. Well, I did have to explain something very funny as the ice was melting.
Okay.
Because when I got to the site of the very first, the ice was still on the lake.
What? Still?
Well, I got there a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
And,
I thought.
you know,
that's
no,
true.
it's a
You're
couple of weeks.
backlogged
Yeah.
on.
So I got there a couple of weeks
Right.
ago, and there were all these big rocks sitting on top of the ice,
Yeah.
and apparently they were moving because there were little skid trails behind them. And everybody was kind of wondering what that was, and I started giggling, and I'm like, those aren't rocks, those are turtles.
Oh, turtles can handle ice.
They
I thought
had
they don't
come,
like
they
that
had
kind
come
of
out
stuff.
around the lights
Oh, okay.
and were having the most fun of their lives
Skating.
playing turtle hockey pucks. They were sliding all over the place, and everybody's like, oh my gosh. And I went, no, trust me, they know what they're doing.
I didn't think turtles would like ice, man.
Well, and an hour later, when the sun went down, they all whooshed back down the hole and disappeared under the lake.
That's pretty funny.
So working around the lake, let's just talk about the words water spray
Okay.
and metal.
Yeah.
Because there's all these metal posts and all these cool looking nautical chains and stuff to create this park like atmosphere. And whoever originally installed these, whoever did the installation on the poles, did a great job.
Okay.
But whoever came along behind them and painted them,
Yeah.
not so much.
Wait, how old of a thing are we talking about? Like, how long do you think these chains and poles and things have been?
3 to 5 years max.
Oh.
This
Oh,
is
so this
relatively
isn't
new.
oh,
yeah, it's
boy.
relatively new, but they didn't use DTM,
Okay, what is DTM?
direct to metal paint.
What do you think they used?
They used regular old, I'm going to paint the fence. They
Wow,
went and
well,
got
I
a
mean,
latex paint.
Okay.
They just got a nice latex paint. They got the color they wanted, and they painted them. And now they're wondering why the paint is bubbling and blistered, and it's got all kinds of lichens and stuff growing all over the post.
Yeah.
And I'm going, it's because you didn't get the right paint additives.
Oh boy, I hate painting metal, honestly, because
So-
painting metal is, I don't know, man. You got to get down to the microscopic level when you're preparing it, and every bit of moisture's got. Yeah. So
They
they just got in there and painted. They
yep,
didn't.
somebody just came along and slapped paint on it, and now it's not so cute and nautical looking.
Is it rusting?
Oh, yeah, there was in a few places. So it's time to break out the sander, put on the mask. And again, if you're going to use a sander, wear a mask. Put on your eye safety goggles and start removing debris. And so I got to spend a fun few days with my little orbital sander out there, cleaning up metal post, getting them nice and prepped, going back over them, and then, ta-da, time to DTM. Break out the direct to metal and put a good exterior moisture, I'm a paint designed to go around a lake.
Well, if you're painting metal outside too, you don't just slap it over because
No.
there's gotta. I mean,
You got to clean
The prep
it.
work
It's
is-
got to be clean. So an amazing amount of prep work. But I will say, I had a lot of friends. I say that with like 30 or 40 geese.
yeah, I was gonna say what kind of what kind of wildlife are we talking here? So, all right, and well, it doesn't sound like much of a vacation to me, man. But okay.
Well,
Anyway.
just say it was by the lake.
All right. Well, we're going to continue the drama when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Dying. Tickles.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Yeah, thanks, Max. We could have used that about a segment ago, but anyway. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody.
Electricity behaves how it wants.
Exactly. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989, and we're covering the gamut. I guess, I think your experience this week, or over a couple weeks ago working on the lake. That's water. Kind of electricity. We're talking. We're kind of covering the gamut. Later, I'm going to talk about wood.
Okay.
What a miserable experience I had with that.
So all the elements are being represented this week.
Pretty much.
I can talk about dirt too if we need to. I got plenty of that experience. So,
but sticking with water, Alan, I didn't mention this at the top of the show. I kind of overlooked this, but there is something we want to give a shout out. We're always happy to showcase the good things in the Mid-South and that Memphis is doing. And I have to say, there's been a noticeable, I don't know what you could say, uptick I've noticed with MLGW being proactive and trimming trees and keeping things, trying to avoid problems like we've had in the past with overgrown trees on wires and things like that. Well, they're doing a lot more than that. My wife was telling me that her friend lives in Midtown in one of these older bungalow houses. It's probably closer to 100 years old. One of those cool artsy houses. Well, she's having issues with her. You know how tree roots can grow into your terracotta mainline drain pipes, and we've seen it sometimes, folks. You'll be driving, and you'll see somebody, and they're having their whole front, the front yard, a tunnel basically dug into their front yard because they're digging out the mainline pipe and all that. And there's other issues you can have. Well, there's a little. I've never looked at it. I get my bill. I'm like, how much is it this month? And I pay the bill. I don't think about it. Well, folks, I would strongly encourage you, look at some of the details on your MLGW bill. There's an option where for a minimal fee, you can get coverage. It'll cover things like, there's like 4 or 5 different things that it covers. But basically, because of this coverage that she got, it cost her like $16 a month with MLGW. They're covering the whole expense of getting it replaced. And I'm like, this is something people need to know about, man. That's a great a great option.
The options are available. And, I'll have to agree with you because one of the properties I was working on out in Fayette County the power company out there did not play when it came to the tree limbs and things that could interfere.
They're being aggressive at getting rid of it.
They did not play. I have seen so many of the giant portable saw blades rolling down the road. And, you talk about something you could get a beverage and a bowl of popcorn and just sit there and watch that thing work.
Oh, yeah.
You talk about amazing. So a lot of the local, and we got Entergy just right down here below us in Mississippi.
Yeah.
Of course, we have the MLG&W right here, which is all part of the TVA system. And there have been a lot of upgrades, and I'm also going to say they've added a number of failure points.
What do you mean?
And everybody goes, well, what's a failure point? Well, like a breaker is a failure point. So instead of the tree fell down over here and it took out 3 subdivisions, now we've broken out the failure points to where it only took out 100 houses.
Right.
So now everybody else kept power and kept going, and they could more focus on that actual one repair and not have to worry about such a large area.
Is that what, because, I've mentioned this on the show too, where we get, I live in a neighborhood with a lot of mature trees. I'm in East Memphis, and whenever we'd get really strong winds or whatever, I used, years ago, I'm like, okay, our power is going to go out or something. Yeah. But now we have this thing where, I think I've mentioned it, if the power goes out, it's for like 90 seconds, then it comes back on, which I'll take that any day. That's whatever it's resetting. What is that's a resetting?
Well, it could be of something at the main being reset.
So instead of the catastrophic, and then you're without power
boom,
for days,
boom, there goes half the city.
Right.
Now, boom, boom, out goes just the area downline from the actual problem.
Right. Okay.
So they're up, and this is not going to be a quick thing. Modernizing, there's a lot of modernization taking place. There's a lot more of load control, a lot more of access control, and we're also how they're designing the transformers and the boxes has matured. So we'll hopefully see fewer raccoon and squirrel-induced issues.
Yeah.
I know we're seeing a lot fewer tree-induced issues.
Yeah.
And now some of the other options they're beginning to offer in certain parts of town, I'm going to say, are got to be one of the greatest things they could be offering.
Well, in this insurance, shoot, I wish I'd have brought my bill in. Like I said, it's not just for your mainline drain. I think there's 3 or 4 key parts that it's like, okay, I'm going to insure this, I'm going to insure that, I'm going to insure this, and each one adds $3 or $4 to your bill. So she just did the whole thing,
right?
Okay, but it makes sense to me mathematically because most people aren't going to need this. But what it creates for me is a mindset of, okay, if there's a problem, we're actually going to do something about it. We're not going to just ignore it or just keep running mainline drain cleaner down it or something. Because basically we're talking, what, tree roots have penetrated the terracotta. It's probably cracked the pipe. And so, in a way, this is improving the infrastructure as well.
It's
because
not going to go away. Yeah.
Right. It doesn't fix itself. But it's like it would be tempting for somebody to go, well, I can't afford $6,000. I'm just going to live with it, and I'm going to figure something out. And so that's not good either. So this way, to me, it's a cool option, and I didn't know we had that. So we're signing up tomorrow, man.
Well, you can line up with neighborhood issues.
Yeah,
where if you've got one line that's been invaded, the growth in that line isn't going to stop.
Yeah,
and it's going to continue in until it gets into a shared area. And once it gets in, now you have water acting like electricity, kind of going where it wants to go and backing up places you don't necessarily want it to back up.
Yeah, isn't that how we get sinkholes and things like that? And
Especially if you get the persistent cracking. Again, aging infrastructure is going to be a topic that we're going to talk about for the next 20 years.
Yeah,
because a small crack in a water main may not mean much this year, but you know what? Winter's coming back.
Yeah.
Next year, that's a spot that could freeze, crack open more, could crack open into a full blowout, in which case you get, big old sinkholes in the middle of the street.
Right. I had a question, too, because we haven't talked about tree roots in a while, but a lot of people have this issue where the tree roots come in because they're searching for water. And
yes.
Okay. Is that more likely to happen in the summer when we have hardly any rain, or is it like, we had a pretty wet winter, I guess. I don't know. Is there a time of year this is more likely, or is it doing this year round, just looking for water?
Well, the trees do go more or less dormant in the actual winter months.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean they necessarily stopped.
Because
the roots are still alive and active down under the soil. So now trees are much more active during the spring, summer, and fall. But now the roots are pretty much relentless.
That's what I wondered. They don't stop.
They speed up and slow down, but I got to agree, they really don't stop.
And plus, it's a more of a uniform temperature underground. I mean, it's pretty much usually even that's why they can survive, because underground it's
anything below 12 inches in the Mid-South is
right.
That's about as bad as our cold can get.
Yeah. But I thought that was a hats off to MLGW. I guess it's worth paying attention to all the fine print on your bill.
Yes.
So we're signing up, man. I can't wait. But anyway, well, gosh, I don't know where hour 1 of Tool Talk Radio went. It just sort of, evaporated. But hang tight, folks. We have a whole other hour of Tool Talk Radio coming up.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989. And just a reminder, today is Alan Rickman's birthday, great actor, and World Pangolin Day. And Alan, I'm looking at I pulled up some images of a pangolin, and it looks like AI. It doesn't even look like a real creature.
No.
These things are cool, though, man.
I told you, it looks like a Pokemon.
It looks like it's like almost like an armor-plated squirrel. Like if the tail and everything was armor plated.
Does
It's,
the armor follow the Fibonacci sequence?
what's
Actually, it does. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
the Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah.
So, okay.
AKA overlapping scales.
I don't know why anybody would want this as a pet, but man, I mean, it's a cool looking creature. I don't. Where the heck do these things live?
South
North
America.
Africa. It says.
Yeah,
In
they-
Asia.
Yeah, they're an Asian thing.
Interesting that they get their own day. I guess everything we have a holiday for everything.
Yeah, we got a
so.
holiday for everything.
But anyway,
All right, yeah, it's giant anteaters in South America.
it's a cool creature though, folks. Google it. It's really interesting. I had no idea it looked this neat. It's like a leaner armadillo with a longer tail, basically, and
cooler armor.
Yeah, it's a neat creature. I might want to go find one of these. So, but hey, Alan, before we move along though, I feel like we're duty bound here, Alan. We're always concerned about the emotional health of our listeners and everything, and I already know what's going on. Somebody just said they looked at the clock, they woke up, they turned the radio on, and now they're kicking themselves. They're like, well, I missed the first hour of Tool Talk Radio. I have no idea what happened. It's lost forever, and I'm just, why didn't I wake up earlier? Well, there's hope for people like that,
There
right?
is indeed. It is the wonderful world of podcasting.
There we go.
Of YouTube, Spotify, any place that you get your, pre-recorded material, we are there. Welcome to ToolTalkRadio.com. Pop in, and Joe, honestly, there are... not quite a decade, but getting close.
We're approaching a decade.
There is a lot of material there. The cool thing with the podcast world is we're literally around the world, everywhere from Romania to Brazil.
Yeah.
That is just boggles my mind.
Yeah.
So, for those of you listening to us outside of the Mid-South, man, ask some questions, send us some pictures. We'd love to know what your Tool Talk issues would be, because I, can't imagine what it would be like to fix a toilet in Brisbane, Australia.
Where the water goes backwards.
Backwards.
Yeah. Well, for us, it goes backwards. So yeah.
For them, it goes the right way.
Do you have pangolins trying to chew their way into your attic?
When was the last time you got a pangolin out from under your deck in Zimbabwe? So,
there we go. We want to hear about it.
Yeah, true. So, ToolTalkRadio.com. They can find us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and play along with all of our mischief.
Okay, perfect. Well, I felt like it's it's important to do that. We want to keep everybody upbeat. So,
and I want to remind everybody to come see us today out at the Sport and Boat Show at the Agri Center. This is just an absolutely astounding event. ATVs, boats, all kinds of sporting, and the big word here is leisure.
No kidding.
Man, this is if this is any portent for what our summer is going to be like, it's going to be great.
There you go. So, yeah, and Alan's spice, he'll have all the spices out there for sale.
We have wonderful stuff at the table.
Very cool. So, all right, well, let's get into this. This isn't very cool.
And now, Tool Tales with Tool Talk Radio.
I didn't want to, I guess I'm calling it a tool tale. I was using tools to do this. Well, Alan, okay, I should say, folks, if you listen, I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, but I'm working on a mid-century modern house, which is very interesting because, as we said, mid-century modern sort of, I don't know, it's its own thing. I don't know how long they were they only from the 50s too? Or I guess they kind of went into the 60s, right?
You're about 1945 to 65.
Okay, and it's where they basically I can picture the scene. Anybody that had a unique idea, it's like, okay, I have a vent-a-hood that also serves as a food warmer, which this house actually has, believe it or not. It's a combination, whatever. I've got this gadget here that'll hide your soap dish when you're not using it into the wall, and all these things. They just greenlit everything.
It was Tomorrowland.
Right. It was like the Jetsons before the,
It was what we thought the future was going to be.
So you're looking at some of these things in the house, and if you didn't have anybody tell you, it might take you 10 minutes to figure out what you're actually looking at. But so it is a cool house. I have but one of the features of this house was it had a milk delivery door. Mm-hmm. Basically, folks, back in the day, people used to deliver milk and creams and stuff to your house. And so I guess, I remember that as a little kid, I remember just a very short window of time where we had this metal box on our porch, and it was sort of insulated, Alan, and I guess that's where they used to put milk. And, but if you were really hip and you were really cool and you had this mid-century modern house, you might have the door where the milkman opens it, puts it in there, and then you have another door inside where you pull it out. Well, it's cool, but you know what? This door was drafty, and it wasn't installed correctly, and it's been leaking for decades. And when I pulled, and it rotted the entire kitchen floor. It was like walking on a trampoline. So I ripped out the floor, and of course it's got, the top layer came right off. It was nothing. I just literally ripped the linoleum off. But the linoleum was sort of the key because that's what was stored. That was what was keeping all the moisture trapped underneath. And it's a plywood subfloor. And literally, Alan, I mean, this is 20 feet by 8. It's a lot of flooring. Okay, you've had to remove plywood, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's a technique, especially when you get your pry bar. The first little edge is kind of tough, but then as you go, and then if you start popping nails out, and if you get about half of that thing up, you can just sort of goose it, and it's a little work, but you pop that out. It probably is a 10-minute operation. Well, taking out rotted plywood is a whole other. Alan, this was the most miserable week I've ever. I think it took me 4 days to remove. I could have done this in one day easily if it was just regular plywood, but because you get the pry bar under there and it's still just as stubborn. In fact, I almost wonder if it's more stubborn. And then you get it under there, and instead of just lifting the thing, it just shatters. Yeah, I had piles of shattered plywood, and it didn't break in predictable ways. Some of it broke right away. Some of it was like fighting it. I don't know. I hated it, man.
So your eternal punishment in a Greek myth would be having to get rid of this sort of moldy plywood.
Oh, yeah. This would be my Sisyphus rock or whatever the guy,
with HR Puffin stuff playing in the background.
Oh, my gosh. But, Alan, it was brutal. And I even threw my back out a little bit. But
all right. Let's describe plywood for the listeners. That makes sense. All right. What is plywood and why? Why is there plywood? All right.
It's a great invention, actually.
Any normal, everybody's, nothing's as good as regular wood, just real wood. That's not exactly true because real wood has a grain.
Yeah.
And any first-year karate student can tell you if you can find the grain, you can break that board.
Oh, yeah. I mean, some of those I remember as kids watching these. In fact, they came to your gym class.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, okay, all you do is you hit it in the right spot. I could break a board.
And what if it was just balsa wood they brought?
Yeah.
No. It's usually common pine, and it's not easy to break, but wood with that type of grain has a breaking point.
Right.
Now, what plywood did was it took all the wood chips and the sawdust and the mess, and you began epoxying it together different directions.
Yeah.
So layer number A kind of goes from the left to the right. Layer number B kind of goes from the top to the bottom. And, you keep layering it like that. And you now at the end of it have a certain depth of plywood.
And it's not warping because all the grains are working against each other.
What they do is they create, that impenetrable space that we now call plywood. And the problem is when that has begun to delaminate.
Yeah.
AKA fall apart. Because now as you're putting pressure, instead of each layer fighting back and holding together, now it's all just kind of going, I don't care, you just go.
Yeah,
it just explodes.
And the thing is, this plywood is from the 1950s. And so basically what they did here is they took, I don't know, as far as I can tell, it's probably just under 1/8 of an inch thick of solid wood, and they crisscross it. Well, that's different. Today our plywood's got thinner layers, you know. But man, it had just enough power to fight you, but just enough rotting to just it was
disintegrate when it lost.
Oh, it was miserable, man.
It kind of we actually got a good PSA on the text line from Norman Rockwell, kind of related to your removal of stuff.
Yeah.
It said, don't forget to remind people if they're removing sheet vinyl from pre-1985, it needs to be tested for asbestos.
Oh yeah, and I had the full mask on, believe me, folks, because I had like the respirator because there was mold. I did the full mold treatment. It was everything, but it's also a safety reminder that if you're cutting limbs, or especially if you're cutting a tree, a rotted tree is 10 times more dangerous than a regular tree because it's going to break in ways that you
don't
not
know
predicting.
and might not be able to see.
Yeah. So, well, a few more parting thoughts about my miserable week removing rotted wood when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Hi there. Is there a project you're working on? I know more than you. All right.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And that's rude. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from Allan's Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989. And I don't know, Alan, maybe we've talked enough about my miserable week of removing rotted plywood. I'll just say, if you have to do it, if you've got rotted plywood, just be prepared for an unpleasant experience. So,
well, I'm gonna add a product that will make it slightly less bad.
Okay.
There are a number of the biggest thing that you're going to run into is trying to get those nails out.
Well, because they were buried under
all
you
got to
the
get
glue
it down
and
in there. If you go over to the roofing department, there's a shingle remover.
Yeah.
And it looks like somebody bent a hoe the wrong way, and it kind of gets under there. All right, a slight modification to the shingle remover.
Yeah.
I have one that I cut a little V notch into right in the center.
You
so
jam
it
it in
gets
there?
under the nail and yank down and pop that baby out. And slam forward, bring down, yank that baby out.
Well, okay, I'm sorry.
I did that.
I didn't want to keep dwelling on my misery, but here's the problem, Alan, because my technique with this is normally to do, just like you say, I've got a pretty good pry bar.
Right.
Normally, I would get as many nails out first as I could. Well, every time I tried to pull a nail out, it just busted the head off because it was rusted through. We're talking probably 40 years of water damage, just continually rot. And so that was what I was. So then I've got a spike or a half bent nail head, whatever. It was the nails were what the problem was.
That's why I work from under the sheetrock, not the sheetrock, but the plywood, than trying to get the nails out by themselves because they won't go.
I probably could have used something like that.
It's miserable any way you look at it. And for cleanup, I will throw in my new favorite battery-powered tool ever.
Yeah.
And there's 50 different brands out there now, but if you have not gotten yourself a battery-powered shop vac, you are totally missing the boat. So,
yep.
It's not going to make getting that floor out any less miserable, but it can make the cleanup less miserable.
Well, it's gone now, and I'm, thank goodness. So, and now it's drying out. I'm going to give it like a week or two to dry out. I've got fans. I put the mold killer, all that stuff on there. But Max, before we move along, you said we have more texts, I guess. So,
well, we did want to give a shout out to a longtime listener. Good morning, guys. Toilet Drama Susie here.
Yes.
Just wanted to say thanks so much for your show. I wouldn't have known who to trust without you all.
Oh, well, thank you, Susie. I'm trying to remember the nature of the drama that Susie had, because that was about 6 months ago.
The cracked toilet.
Oh, over-tightening the bolts at the bottom. No, wait. She had a rocking. That's right. Okay. Her toilet was rocking. She has teenage sons, we should mention.
Yes. It was an assisted rocking.
And somebody over-tightened the two little bolts at the bottom, which, folks, that's important. Your toilet,
it's porcelain.
That's porcelain. You can over-tighten that. Plus, when you're sitting, when you set the thing on the wax ring, sometimes, I don't know, I'm a big believer in spending the extra, $3 to get the good wax ring.
Oh, yes.
Don't play games with that.
Well, it's too important.
Yeah. As I recall, Susie had some Chuck and his truck come over and tried to fix the water coming out from under the toilet with caulk.
Yeah.
Instead of just taking it off
yeah,
and replacing. I think she had to replace the whole toilet, right?
Oh, yeah. There was.
I mean,
only
there's
one
no
repair.
other way. You're not going to glue porcelain.
There's not
so,
a repair.
Yeah.
No.
But
So I'm
Susie,
so glad it turned out good for her.
I wonder if at dinner party she introduces herself as toilet drama Susie or something. I don't know.
I don't know. She might be a celebrity with that these days. That's kind of awesome.
All right. Well, Susie, glad we could help. So, is that? Do we get everybody, Max?
I should be good to go.
Okay. All right. Well, then. Then here we go. I've been looking forward to diving into this.
And now, great moments in building history.
Actually, Alan, this is where we could really use visuals. But anyway, I think, okay, well, everybody knows the pyramids. Today on Great Moments in Building History, we're going to talk about a theory that I've come to embrace.
Because we've talked about the pyramids before in the past, and I guess it's appropriate because we've been talking about some of the seven wonders of the ancient world.
Yeah, well, nobody's agreed. This, to me, though, there's a lot of dynamics here that I really think this is going to probably play out, especially when we do outdoor renovations and things like this. But here's the basic nature of it, folks. So we've seen, I'm sure if you're interested in the pyramids, you might look, and the big mystery is how the heck did they build these things? Well, there's something that's part of this equation that I didn't know, Alan. I'm going to start with this. I didn't know that Egyptians were so dedicated to repurposing. Basically, if they had a barge that maybe they took it out of service, like the royal barge with the fancy chairs and with whatever. Well, they don't just throw it out. They might remove the chair and they repurpose it into a throne or something. Basically, they didn't throw stuff out. They reused things. Okay, so that's part of the key of this technique. So
maybe it's sort of common with desert culture in general, because I'm thinking of the fictitious thing with Dune, how the still suits recycle all moisture because moisture is so valuable, and so any resource in the desert is probably like hecka valuable, and you don't want to like waste it.
Well, we've seen their craftsmanship. Why would you throw that out? If you have something that interesting and that well made, if you can save 90% of it or whatever and repurpose it. Well, it's kind of this. So here's the theory, folks. So basically, you've probably seen things where they show. The big question is, how the heck do you push these giant stones into position? How did these things wind up perfectly aligned with? I mean, we're talking down to the inch of being straight and lined up with the sun and things like that.
And then not only that, too, but the fact that the Egyptian pyramids actually have a point as opposed to being flat on the top.
Yeah, the point
most
is
pyramids.
the key. So if you look at pyramids around the world, you'll notice that most of them, they don't have that point at the top. So technically, what is that, a trapezoid? Apparently, that top point is the hardest part of a pyramid to build. So keep that in mind, folks. The other part is you got to push these stones up. So some models show a giant ramp. Well, the ramp can only go like 6 degrees before it becomes almost impossible to. You can't just have a ramp that's going 50 degrees, up. So here's the basic theory, Alan. So when we see the pyramids, we don't just see one giant pyramid. We see other pyramids. And so here's the basic premise. I hope I can paint a picture, folks. Imagine building something bigger than the pyramid. And so imagine you're building the pyramid almost with an extra layer. And that layer has 6-degree ramps going up, zigzagging all the way up. Kind of like that road in San Francisco, that twisty road. You know what I mean? So it's at an angle where you can get the stones into place. You get to the very top, and then you begin removing stuff. You start with the top, and then you remove and take the extra materials down these ramps. And so basically what you're doing is it's called sacrificial staging.
They call it cannibalizing structure.
Yeah,
too.
so you're starting with the perfect point. And the other thing is, as you go down, you keep the lines straight as you're removing them. And then you take those bricks, or you take those stones that you move, and then you start building other pyramids. And if you look, there are 3 pyramids, and they all get descendingly smaller, and then there's a whole complex there. And so basically, because people have said, the archaeologists have said, well, where is all the remnants of the staging and where are the remnants of these ramp. Well, the ramp, it was reused and was made into a pyramid. So there was zero waste basically. And you started with the tallest structure built down to the other. And what they determined was it came to like something like 14 million tons of stone. And when you do the math, that's basically how much stone was used for all of the pyramids and that complex with 1 million tons left over. I think this is a very fascinating idea. So the reason we don't see evidence is because the evidence of the ramps and everything was used.
Well, I got one word for you.
Talk to me.
Switchback.
Okay, let's hear it. So
All right,
I knew this would relate to something, but
this ties directly in. All right.
Okay.
So the pyramid theory also applies to a lot about gardening and landscaping.
See, that's what I was thinking. I thought this was going to go outside.
It's going to head outside because of, and part of the lesson is a little bit about modern house building. Because we do have a tendency now to build from the top down.
Wait, what do you mean?
All right.
How do you build a house from the top down?
You got to get a roof on it or everything else you do is going to get ruined.
Okay. All right. I mean, you need a foundation and a frame.
Follow along
You're
with
enclosing it from top down.
Right. Let's follow along. So
okay.
Here we go.
All right. So top down. Well,
when we come back,
just like the pyramid, top down.
Absolutely.
All right. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Do you know what happens to a butter-based frosting after 6 decades in a poorly ventilated English basement?
I guess I hadn't.
Well, I have a feeling what you are about to go through is punishment enough.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Didn't they find butter-based frostings in the pyramids too, Alan?
Well,
with
they
the
found
pharaohs?
honey.
Okay. I don't know how it ages after all that time, but we'll find out.
I'm sure they could find a way to repurpose it.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989. And I would also invite you to go to Facebook and go to @Tool Talk Radio. I just posted a video. It's a really excellent video. It's about 19 minutes long, and it's basically what gave me the idea for our Great Moments in Building History. It's a new theory about how the pyramids were built, and I think it makes, even if it's not how the pyramids were built, it makes it pretty. It's a pretty. I think I could see the pyramids being built this way. It's a really interesting idea where basically you build up more than you need. It's kind of like a statue. You know, you have a slab of marble and you take away everything that is in the statue. Well, it's the same thing. And then you take those extra pieces and you make smaller pyramids and smaller, and you use every piece of it. That's why there's no archaeological evidence of a giant ramp or the remnants of the staging, because they used it all. That's the theory, and I like it. I think it's an interesting theory. But
well, and we have plenty of examples. But even building a modern home, of basically you're going to pile a bunch of stuff up. You're going to get your supplies together.
Yeah.
So from whatever quarries and everything they were working of. Now, this is where pretty much all the theories can actually intersect with each other, because you got to quarry the stones. And everybody's like, well, how could anybody even cut huge stones like that? If you've ever seen anybody do a chisel break on a piece of marble.
Yeah.
Astounding. 20 tons of marble, and you're on top of this thing with a little bitty drill and about 10 little bitty spikes. And
strategically placed.
And the guy keeps running back and forth going tap, tap, tap.
Yeah.
Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. And eventually, and you can always tell the stonemason knows his work, because he doesn't stand on the side of the stone that's going to move. He switches sides.
Right.
And comes back and goes right in the middle and gives it that one last little, and it's usually not even a big swing. It's just kind of tap.
Yeah.
And it goes crack, and a 10-ton slab of marble separates from the mountain.
Yeah.
And is it
Absolutely amazing.
Is it kind of like with karate, where if you follow the grain, you could break the board? Is it similar with that? Like there's maybe sort of a weakness inside of the marble slab that causes it to compromise?
Well, what we're doing is we're invoking that weakness because we're applying pressure in a very specific way.
Yeah.
So this is where, and if you want to go down a real rabbit hole, get into the theory behind the Masons.
Yeah.
But construction techniques, we're still using all of these.
Yeah.
In this day. So could we carve off 10 tons chunks of rock? Yep. Could we transport them? Well, we obviously did, whether it was on a sled, via water. However, we figured out ways of getting big rock slid across to wherever we wanted it.
I think water played a role in getting it to the work site.
We shipped it, we slid it, however we needed to get it there.
You also wonder if they kind of planned with waste in mind too, because if they built on a scale that was massive because they knew there would be enough waste material left over to repurpose it later on.
See, now that's what's interesting to me, Max, because you're using the word waste, and it's like we just talked about how much work it takes to do this and how they're not going to waste resources, and which is why I love this theory, because it's like, for one thing, one of the things with modern building is we always talk about that. You don't want to, for one thing, if you're building a house, you don't want 30% waste because that's money basically you're throwing out. So you want to come up with a construction method that has the least amount of waste, and it would have been the same for them. So
kind of makes me think of how like you might have to build on a scale slightly larger in order to minimize. It's kind of ironic to think that maybe if you build slightly up a little bit, you might be minimizing waste, because it's like, I'm thinking of Michelangelo's David. You can't really reuse the waste that he had from his David to make another marble structure or whatever.
However,
go ahead, because I bet you can make smaller items. Yeah.
There you go. Now you're making cheese cutters, you're making goblets, you're making. So
I bet they didn't waste any of that marble.
Resources are precious.
Right.
Conservation of resources is absolutely critical.
Mm-hmm.
Of the job I just got done finished up with in Fayette County, of my assistant and I, the running gag was there is no waste.
Yeah.
Because, as we cut down the boards, we actually stacked the boards we cut via the size of the leftover, because as you needed that next weird little board, the chances were you had a board within an inch or two, if not already perfect, for exactly what you needed. So when you get to this theory of top-down construction, it makes infinite sense, and I'm going to pick on the Wall of Petra.
The Wall of Petra
is, we've talked about it several times, but it's so visually stunning, and it's easy to see how this worked.
Okay.
They built a scaffolding around a natural rock wall. Now, if you want to know what the Wall of Petra is, watch Indiana Jones, because this is where they hid the Holy Grail.
Okay.
So you walk up, this wall is just massive, and you go, oh my gosh, how did they carve this? Well,
it's like a cliff with it looks like a building carved into it.
Well, you just build a scaffolding around it and fill it up with dirt.
Yeah.
And start carving at the top. And as you move down, remove dirt. So you're constantly scaffold right there where you're working at the perfect height to get the work done.
Yep.
So now the theory you have with the pyramids was a switchback. So think about any exterior stairway that comes up a few feet and has a big platform and moves over and then goes up the rest of the way. And that way you're not walking up consistently 40 feet of stairs going that direction.
You're zigzagging.
So now we're getting 40 feet of stairs in 10 feet, not 40 feet.
Right.
So now you come up, you switch back. You come up, you switch back. So if you look at the four corners of a pyramid, you have four obvious switchbacks.
Right.
Just come up the side, switch back and go over there, and now you build a great big square.
Yeah.
And now start working from the top down, and that way you're always working at the optimum height to get the work done.
And you're removing, so you're using gravity to your vent. You're taking things away and sliding them down the ramp, which makes it because the thing is, the precision of the pyramids is pretty fascinating. And if you think about it, if you had to start at the bottom and make all 4 of those points perfectly line up at the top,
not going to happen.
Even if you're off by an inch at the bottom, by the time you get to the top, it's going to be 15 feet off. So this theory is pretty compelling.
And then not only that too, but they talked about like the contrary to the ramp theory, because they said if you had to build a ramp to be steep enough to get to the top point, it would be like a mile long or whatever.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's because you can only have so much of a grade. And if you want to see the modern version of how this would have worked, look at any building being renovated that is over 2 or 3 stories tall, and outside of a window, you are going to see the trash chute going down to a big 30-yard open-face dumpster.
Oh, right.
And basically, it's like, all right, so we're scraping up all the flooring on the 10th floor. Well, we're not going to carry that down the elevator.
Yeah.
We're not going to drag it through the building because, as we were mentioned earlier with Mid-City Modern, there were a lot of different materials used, and we don't want to drag that through the building.
Right.
There might be lead paint on something. Well, we don't drag that through the building. We're going to put it down the chute and let gravity do the bulk of the work for us.
Right. Well, and if you're looking at other structures, like I said, go to @Tool Talk Radio over on Facebook. This video that I posted is really outstanding. They show other structures where if you're ever looking at something in ancient Rome or something, you're like, how the heck did they get this 40-ton slab of something up on the same? Well, they might have built a dirt mound around it and just rolled it up there and then took the dirt mound away. And you're never going to notice it because it's dirt. They just used it to, landscaping. And
Max's question, well, what happened to all the rest of the rock? Well,
they used it.
It got used.
Yeah. Became part of the whole pyramid complex.
Well, you think about, you also got to look at like in the Roman days, because we still have Roman roads being used by modern cars.
Right.
Although that stonework came from somewhere, and guess what? It got reused. Somebody else's waste is somebody else's raw materials.
Yeah. It's interesting though, but it's just, I don't know. There's so many ways to achieve something. There's so many ways to get it done, and that's one of I think also my understanding is back in the day, these ancient structures, it was sort of bragging rights. Like you didn't want to tell people how you built it. You built it and you let people wonder for millennia we've been doing.
That was the point.
Because if the pyramids are meant to represent a divine structure and everything, then
you don't want your enemies building one. So, yeah. But it's pretty interesting. We have a few parting thoughts about that. And then we have some suggested viewing.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
All you got to do is let us disassemble you. We're not banging rocks together here. We know how to put a man back together. So that's a complete reassembly. New vitals, spit shine on the old ones. Frankly, you ought to be paying us.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. There's just enough time for a quick phone call or text over at 901-683-0989. And I really, really encourage you, if you haven't joined the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, check it out. This video really is outstanding. It's about 19 minutes long, and it really offers a compelling, it's well produced, it's very well, it's really informative, and it offers a pretty interesting theory about how a new theory about how the pyramids might have been built. And even if it wasn't built the way, it's very plausible. And it's got lessons about construction, and it might get you thinking about other structures around the world and how they're built as well. So, but actually, Max, speaking of other structures around the world, let's shift gears. I don't know what we call this, Alan, but you've watched this show. So we don't often do suggested viewing, but I came across a show and I'm like, okay, we're going to be getting a lot of show material out of this. But there's a show, for one thing, I love the name of this show. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's called Massive Engineering Mistakes.
Yes.
And all of the voice, all the voiceover people and all of the the music, the intro, it's got all that contrived drama. Although these aren't really contrived. These things,
they fell over and went boom.
They could hurt people and stuff. But there's so many things about this show that are interesting. You do learn things about construction. Honestly, it's not the worst thing to learn about how things are built, but it is pretty funny too, I have to say.
All right, there is an episode about a grain silo.
Okay.
And it was beautiful. It was well built. It was well thought out, except for one tiny little bit of math.
Yeah.
Nobody added up what the weight of a full silo was.
That's the culprit on 80% of these. Is like nobody thinks about when you start putting people in there or filling it up with whatever it's going to
I'm even going to give you a Star Trek reference.
Okay.
Scotty, why does it have to hold so much weight? Because whales are so floating in water, Captain.
Right. Yeah. And they beamed up the whales in Star Trek.
It's the water. You got to have water. So, one of the episodes is this wonderful grain thing, and they started filling it up, and like logical human beings, you start at silo 1 and you fill it up, and you move to silo 2 and you fill it up. And there's like 6 silos, 3 on this side, 3 on this side. Did we fill them up evenly? No.
Mm-hmm.
We filled up 1, 2, 3, and the entire facility sank 10 feet on that side.
Right. Yeah, it's leaning. There's an episode, the Leaning Tower in San Francisco. There's
Millennium Tower.
Yeah, there really is one, and it's pretty serious.
What I love about this is like the stuff is very serious, but some of the commentators are just having a blast.
Yeah, they all look. They're like millions of people could die if this dam fails, and he looks like he's just having a blast telling you this information. It's like
it's like the Undertaker who just loves burying your dead.
There is an interesting energy on this show.
Yeah, there is, and they're so bizarre because they're like, well, on the right-hand side where we put the dam, it's granite. It's wonderful. But on the left-hand side, it's all sandstone, and it's probably going to melt. And you're like, oh, my goodness
They're also not afraid to be Captain Obvious either. Like, oh, by the way, we had to bring in an expert to explain why glass is slippery when wet.
That was okay, so Alan, I don't know if you saw this episode, but there's a so they installed this walking bridge in Spain.
Bilbao.
Okay, but the funniest part of this was we brought in, and so here's what they built, folks. They built a walking bridge across this canal, and it had a little bit of a hump on it, so it went up and then it went down very gradually. Well, they thought, you're walking over water. Let's put a glass surface. And that way you can see the water below.
Yeah.
Well, pretty obviously what happens is what happens when glass gets wet.
Moist.
And it gets slippery. Well, anybody can figure that out, but they go, we're brought in such and such engineer to explain this. This guy's got he literally has machinery, like he has a little device to measure slipperiness.
Yes.
Called Slip Alert.
It's like and he goes, now, what we want is a 0.40 such and slip ratio or something. And it's like, okay, anybody can tell you that glass is going to get slippery, especially if you're going uphill. So their solution was they put a covering over. They put basically an outdoor rug over it, and it fixed the issue. But
you got to replace it every 2 years.
The experts on the show are what crack me up because sometimes they do. They're like, Are you talking to a 3-year-old here? We understand what glass does if it's wet. I don't know, but it's a great show. I really enjoy it.
The show is actually about the outcome of enthusiasm.
What do you mean?
Because people get an idea, and they get other people excited about that idea, and the one old curmudgeon like me in the corner that goes, so let me tell you why ostrich rides aren't going to work. But everybody has so many great logical explanations as to why the ostrich ride is going to work perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And the one person just going, except ostriches don't like you.
Right.
But we have all these other reasons.
Yeah.
And then you build it and you find out they really hate you.
Yeah.
And it's not going to work. And for classic examples of this, go back and look at the history of poor Walt Disney trying to design his parks.
Oh, gosh.
Because he was doing stuff in the face of, this is just, you just don't do stuff like that.
Legacy thinking.
And he was throwing really wild ideas at people, and then he was daring them to make it work. Find a way. If I can't have real hippos on the ride, I want hippos. Find me a way. So he had to build mechanical hippos.
You were talking about legacy thinking, and this show also literally addresses one of the best examples of poor legacy thinking, and that was Venice.
Yeah.
And like the fact that in order to solve their problem, they made an even bigger problem. And the fact that they tried to make like a sophisticated dam system, but it was undermined by nature because apparently clams were like clogging the hinges.
Well, yeah, you put that in there, and all the native creatures went, hey, look, new condos.
It makes me think of Italian
mollusks or whatever those things. What are they called? Those little clammy creatures.
Those are zebra mussels, and they grow everywhere.
This makes me think of Italian architecture in general, ostentatious and poorly planned.
Well, I don't know about that.
Some of it's been around for 5,000 years. You better watch that.
Yeah, and then they're
versus Roman.
Well, sometimes though, what you find is the decision makers. We see this in Hollywood. We see this everywhere. Just because you have all the money and you're in charge doesn't mean you're the smartest person in the room, and you better listen to experts because that's usually at the root of these things.
We have said many times on several shows, the universe does not care what you think.
Yeah. Gravity doesn't care what you think.
Mother Nature doesn't think it was a great idea.
Right.
Mother Nature is going to do what Mother Nature is going to do, and you got to work around that.
Yeah,
or suffer the consequences.
Yeah, if you're going to build a bell tower in Pisa, which the word literally means marshy ground, and wonder why your tower decided to go sideways. It's a great show, folks. I would highly recommend it, and I have to believe we'll probably be stealing a little material from it. Now that I've discovered it, I'm hooked. I mean, I think it's a pretty good thing. So it's called it's called Massive Engineering Mistakes over on Amazon Prime. Probably, I bet you they're on YouTube too, or something.
There are several.
Yeah, if you got to Google something. But on a positive note, definitely go over to the Tool Talk Radio page on Facebook and check out the really excellent video we posted there about the pyramids. But Alan, we got to get out of here. We're heading over to the boat show at the Agri Center. So you've been listening to another action-packed episode of Tool Talk Radio. So on behalf of my buddy Alan Gilbreth and our pal Max over there behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.